Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, following another edition to one of the OG members of the BBP's family. That's right. Another addition to the BCJ world as well. That's right. We're going to dive into that. The Bexley Ray Smith, the full introduction to this stratosphere on the Bearcat Journal Network. So some shouts there. Shouts, of course. That's a Monday also following the first visit that one fearless leader, Chad Brendel, had to basketball workouts. He already mentioned it, but of course, I've got to get a little quick dive as well. A couple of departures from the current men's basketball coaching staff we'll touch on, and then of course some big commitments and additions to the football program for Coach Scott Satterfield. And it's also Monday as well. I'm gonna bring in guys, bring in pals, bring in the summer soiree, if you will. So without further ado, it's guys, it's the crew. It's one Aaron Smith, one Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer. Maybe if you popped in while I was introducing. If not, gentlemen, how are we? Yeah, well, I kind of knew he was gonna be here. The boy.
Surprise,
baby.
Always got to keep it interesting on
I like that.
The timing,
I like that. I kind of had an itch. I had a feel that you were going to be there when we unveiled the curtain. And sure as hell you were.
You could smell me?
Oh, no, a little bit of that, maybe. It kind of just drifts right up the screen if you get my drift. But gentlemen, how are we? Aaron, congratulations, baby number 2.
Yeah, baby number 2 is here. She made her appearance on June 5th, and she's healthy. She had her first doctor's appointment today. She's 6 pounds. I think it was 6 pounds 9 ounces, I believe. That she is currently. Nice. She was born at like 7'1". So yeah. She's here, Bexley Ray Smith, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. We got Brennix and Bexley now, so sorts of chaos.
I love it. Well, I mean, you sound over the moon and back with excitement there. You got your hands full now. Sleep's going well. Weekend number 1 with 2, not 1 but 2. And then all the additions of all the other, I mean, it's got to be a lot to juggle, but I'm sure you're taking it with stride.
Yeah, we're doing all right. We got the whole crew here. We got the boys here. We got the here. So everybody's we got it going. Family of 6.
Well, congratulations to you, man.
Thank goodness you guys bought a minivan. He's acting like
we got a Grand Highlander, but
okay. Damn. Chad, sir, how are we, mister?
I'm good. Getting packed up, getting ready to head to nationals. Heading out Wednesday morning and gone for a week, and should be a good time. It's shockingly, it's like the upper 80s in Orlando all week while we're down there.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't hit the 90s until like Monday, which
it's rainy all week over here on the coast side. So yeah, it's
can live with that part, but I mean, last year it was the problem is where they at the convention center where they do the majority of the tournament. It is like 40 degrees inside there.
Right.
And then when you walk outside, it's 130 degrees. And your body is just like,
Yep.
So it will be nice that it's supposed to be at least a little cloudy and not as scorching hot.
Little Orlando. The inner Florida part gets way hotter than it does out on the coast too.
No, I mean, look, man. Last year it was very hot for our trip to Orlando. Very hot. Like like stand outside for 4 seconds and you're like, I just got out of the shower. Did I just jump in the pool? So yeah, looking forward to it. Going to Universal a week from today.
Okay.
Going
Still fun.
with Kelsey and the crew and do a little Universal action and
Which park are
a
you
lot of
do
volleyball.
both?
Both,
With the
yeah.
Harry Potter world, hit it all up.
Yeah, we'll do both.
Okay.
The water park is closed.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's closed until like September or something.
Weird.
Yeah,
Must be,
I was
must be
surprised by that.
building some massive new
Putting
thing in there.
something big in there. But
Right.
yeah, it's closed for the summer, which is weird.
That's weird.
But yeah, things are good. Just packing up, and had one of the parents is driving down in a big truck, so they're taking some luggage down for people that don't want to pay for check bags. So I dropped that off this afternoon.
Smart.
Ready to get on the plane and get out of here.
I would love to see a Chad Breno check bag. That'd be that'd be a lot of clothes in there. Got to wear the Bearcat gear down there.
Not really.
Okay. Fair enough. Royer, how are we? Are you enjoying these Red Hot Reds, man?
I am. I was hoping they could reach the double digit streak again, like last year.
Yeah,
that was something. But I'll probably be at one, if not all 3 of the games this week at home. I'd like to snag me some of those $12 tickets and walk down the street, but who knows? Every game I went to, they lost, so maybe I should just stay home. But I'm doing good. I had a nice weekend. I got to spend some time with some friends, so solid.
Can't complain one bit. Gotta love that. Well, Aaron, I'm excited to hear it. Are you back with George tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. So, barring anything crazy happening, that's what we're going with.
I was gonna fill in with George last week, and I guess when he heard that you weren't gonna be there, he said yes to subbing for a golf league. So I was like, "Do you want to do a show tonight?" He's like, "Playing golf." I was like, "All right, have fun playing golf, George. See you next week."
I can only imagine what playing golf for George entails as well. So I'm sure.
Well, it's a league, so I'm sure
time.
It's a league, so I'm sure he was pretty serious about it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, this was a fun weekend. Got things cooking on the recruiting front. Got things cooking basketball side of things. Also, we got some other things popping off that are outside of the current realm as well, and some maybe surprising things. If you were a UConn fan over this past weekend, you were probably checking your phone a little bit too much. Probably while you were behind the wheel too. Not very good to do. Do not text and drive. Not good. But if you were trying to check the Dan Hurley news and you might have swerved a little bit, you might have gotten a little bit of a, might have got a little nick and a little nanny on your vehicle. You had to take it over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. I don't know why you're driving through the Cincinnati area, but still, either way, hit up Danco Joe over at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Get yourself $10 off your next fixing, 10% off your next fixing, $10 off your next oil change if you head over to Danco Transmission Auto Care. Mention the BBP, mention Chad, Aaron, Ryan, myself, mention it all. But guys, little basketball off-season news, and I mean the one that was kind of capturing the entire country was the whole college basketball sphere. We're only going to touch on it real quick because Chad, obviously you've got a nice connection there with Dan, but everyone was locked in on what was going to be the potential doom of college basketball and college sports as a whole if Dan Hurley were to take his talents to Los Angeles and become the head coach of the Lakers. But reportedly, the Woj bomb was a big one for the college basketball landscape, and it was the fact that Dan turned down the Lakers. Chad, college sports is still alive and well.
Look, if Mike Greenberg has a take and you're on the same side as Greeny, you're doing this wrong.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't have signified the end of the college game. It wouldn't have signified the death of college sports. It would have signified what we've seen throughout the entirety of college sports.
Yep.
Coach has great elite dominant success, and the pros are interested. Sometimes they go, Billy Donovan. Sometimes they don't. Coach K 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Dan Hurley now. Like it's I don't know, man. I get so tired of like the hyperbole, and it's always, like I like Pat Forty for the most part, but when he gets a chance to like dive both feet in on something stupid like this,
right?
He's gonna be the contrarian. He's gonna do it. He's gonna write the article that you fully expect. Guess what? UConn would have hired a coach. UConn would have still been really, 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 really good, and life would have moved on. That said, I thought he would take it personally.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you.
I can't believe he didn't.
Number that. What's that?
I can't believe he didn't take it, but
I will say the number that Woj put out there was surprising to me. Not the money, because 6 years, $70 million. That's still a lot of money.
Right.
But that it was only 6 years. Like the way that it was talked about is they had this like long-term vision for Danny Hurley that started with, we've got probably LeBron for 2 more years. And then we'll go into like this next era with you as like the guy.
Right.
And 6 years doesn't really say that. 6 years says, if we don't like where this is at in 2 or 3, we're going to fire you, and it's not really going to be a big deal. So that part surprised me a little, and I wonder if it surprised Danny. I mean, a lot of the talks were 8 years, 100 million,
right?
10 years, 120, something along those lines.
Yeah.
To have it come in at 6, you can go back to UConn. Like
Right.
You can go back to UConn for that. Like, is it the Lakers? Yeah. Is it really hard to pass up? Yeah. But I don't know. I just don't think they made I think in that situation, if you're trying to get that guy away from that job, you have to make an offer that they can't refuse. And they didn't do that.
Yeah, I think I saw what the reports were. He would have been the 5th highest paid coach in the NBA.
Top 5.
Yeah. And would have been the 2nd highest paid in the state of California, obviously behind Steve Kerr. But numbers are what numbers are. I think a lot of it as well was just they mentioned his wife a lot, and the whole moving from one coast to the other. The thing also I think is that a coach of that profile, he'll probably get offers next year for NBA jobs, and the year after that for NBA jobs, and the year after that for NBA jobs. And it's just funny to see all these people dialed in on social media throughout the entire weekend, and then all day today. Luke Murray, Bill Murray's son, assistant on UConn, was tweeting videos when they were at the concert over the weekend, the Billy Joel concert over the weekend at Madison Square, and it was just all stuff that was kind of funny. And his Twitter didn't get hacked like One Buster Only. It was more just Luke was tweeting something real out there, but it's that whole thing. I can only imagine people just start to freak out because that's how it is. But like you mentioned, Greenberg throwing out the whole death of the college sports as it is. This is a terrible thing. Blah blah blah. It's just summer talk on ESPN. I saw another thing today. They were just randomly blabbering about Kendrick Perkins being unfollowed by LeBron James in the midst of like a bunch of other sports things that went on this past weekend. So you can only imagine the type of legs that story like that can get. But either way, Dan Hurley still. Go ahead. What you got?
I just get tired, like the mindless ignorance. That's all it is. It's mindless ignorance. There's nobody that really genuinely believes any of that. Like,
right.
Is college football dead because Nick Saban retired?
No.
Like, we're talking legitimately. The greatest coach in the history of college football.
Right.
Did college basketball die because Coach K moved on? No. We kept going. Ratings are still higher than ever. Interest is still higher than ever. Like, I don't know. It drives me nuts. It's so stupid.
It is. Aaron, Ryan, are you guys happy that college sports is still alive? I mean, geez, that was a close call this morning, man. Whew,
It was touch and go there for a little while.
it was.
Yeah, you know me. I don't have much to talk about professional sports. I wasn't lucky enough to make it into that realm, believe it or not. So I'm kind of glad college sports still exists, so I can give a little bit of my insight, because can't say it's the best, but there is some. But I thought it wasn't, him. I just thought his style and his philosophy, his offense, like, all right, let's take 6 seconds out of his offensive flow with the shot clock. Let's have him deal with NBA players who, some could say they're probably not the easiest guys to work with if you look across like team sports in the professional atmosphere. But I just didn't know if it would work where, you watch what he did at UConn, and it was so admirable, and he did it the right way, and he's been doing it the right way, coming from the right family. It was like, I don't even know if that just doesn't seem right. So I'm glad he stayed. I think he's good for the game. It's good because, good for us because Chad somehow knows him a little bit, so it makes us look a little bit cooler. Staying in the college atmosphere, because we can't be talking about the Lakers on this podcast. Maybe the Huskies a little bit, but definitely not the Lakers. No one's going to give a shit.
It really was just that I worked in Cincinnati sports radio, and that Danny, to him, that was like Chad knows the Bengals.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick him for all of his Bengals knowledge. And I was like, I have a little bit, but like, that's not really my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But I parlayed it. The thing is, I didn't buy the whole like NBA guys wouldn't connect with Danny Hurley. I don't know anybody that knows him that doesn't like him. Like,
Yeah.
does he coach hard? Yeah. But like, you're telling Tom Thibodeau doesn't coach hard?
Right.
That's all people talk about Tom Thibodeau is how hard he coaches.
Yeah.
And he's won a lot of games. Spoelstra doesn't coach hard. Ask people inside the NBA. Spoelstra is like a college coach. He's an asshole. But guess what? He relates to his players.
Yeah.
He has a connection with them. He understands them. They can, I don't think Danny is in that world of like, he couldn't connect with like 28-year-olds. I think he connects with pretty much anybody he comes in contact with.
Yeah. Well,
So that part I didn't see as much red flag there as a lot of people saw.
I think people just look at his antics like in game, and they say like, imagine that in the NBA. There's absolutely no chance this would happen in the NBA. Which,
Because there's never been a colorful coach in the history of the NBA.
right. But like Danny is next level. But I think he would understand what he would need to do in certain circumstances, because obviously that part is a tad different. But yeah, I mean, it's not like he's John Beilein from Michigan, who's super smart coach, but kind of didn't really have that repertoire
Because he couldn't connect with his players.
Exactly. And the respect is there because he's a 2-time national champion, and all these players for the most part know that you have to go to college for 1 year, so they understand the grind that it takes to win a national championship, or at least compete for one.
And what a lot of people don't remember, he was a really good player.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't as good as Bobby,
right?
but Danny was really good at Seton Hall. Like, that's a dude that played the game at a high level.
Yeah. So respect is there. Aaron, you got anything, man? Are you turning down 6 years, 70 million?
Hell no. Are you kidding me?
The word is UConn's going to get him up to 8. He's going to be the highest paid coach in college basketball, probably right behind Cal at $8 million a year.
Well, he turned down Kentucky and the LA Lakers in the same offseason. That's pretty intense. That's unbelievable. Aaron, go ahead. What you got?
I mean, I think it's just goes to show how little that UConn cares about football. Because I don't think outside of the I know they just redid the locker room a couple years ago, but that I think they quit. I think they're done with football. If they're going to make him the highest paid, if they're going to make him the highest paid coach in basketball. I don't see how they do anything with football.
I did hear an interesting conversation on this whole thing about why he might leave UConn. The interesting part of it is revenue share.
Yeah.
Because the Big East does not make 40, 50, 60, 70 million dollars a year in their TV deal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How do you make him the highest paid coach in college basketball and sustain football? I don't see how you do.
There's a lot of money up there, Aaron. Somebody donated what Danny's salary, like what his raise is. There's a donor covering that.
But if you do revenue share at that point, what's the point of having football at all? Your conference doesn't play football. I don't see what football is bringing.
No. They need to parlay UConn basketball success into one of the Power Four conferences, or when it comes to basketball, they are going. This is what I'm trying to get at. They are going to be drastically behind revenue share from everybody else. So what they're going to be able to pay their players is going to be significantly less than the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12. And if you're paying your players less, you're going to get not as good players. Period.
It'll be interesting to see what they do in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. I think that if I'm Dan Hurley, I think going to the NBA would be so much easier. You don't have to worry about recruiting kids, recruiting your team year in, year out. You've been to the highest mark and you did it 2 years in a row. Anything less than that at this point is going to be a failure. I think the way that we all feel like we know Dan Hurley, he's going to feel like if he doesn't win another national championship, go back to back to back, then he's going to feel like it was a failure. So I don't know. I think that how much easier the NBA would seem to be in regards to all this stuff, because we know that from what we do here, we know that the college season doesn't really stop. Football coaches, they get to leave for a vacation, a couple weeks ago, and that's it. That's the only time they have to.
What's the saying, Aaron? When a team's season ends in basketball, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Like that's the NBA, like mantra, 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
Oh,
season ends, you're done. See you in 8 weeks. Like you're absolutely right there. What happens when the college season ends? The portal opens.
Mm-hmm.
The day the tournament is announced, the portal opens, and all of a sudden, now you've got 6 weeks of nonstop, and then high school recruiting starts as soon as that stops. That's a lot.
So I am surprised, and he's got young kids, so I don't know. I would think that he would want to. Are they? I thought they were young. In any case, I don't know. For me, I would have jet out and dabbled your toe in the NBA. Chances are, if it doesn't work out, first off, those contracts are guaranteed. You'll be just fine if you get fired. But it's not as if the college landscape wouldn't welcome him back with open arms. He could at that point have whatever job he wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say though, like Billy Donovan didn't leave for the NBA until 6-7 years after his back-to-back titles. Like the NBA is still going to be very interested in Dan Hurley for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Him turning down the Lakers is not going to be the last time an NBA front office makes a run at him, especially because he's made it known like his end game is coaching in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll still come after him. Like he's not hurting his stock there. Maybe he didn't like what he heard when he went out and talked to him.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't want to work with LeBron James in the twilight of his career.
Yeah.
Still a top 10 player in the NBA, so.
Or be forced to draft Bronny.
Dog, come on. Bring in Bronny, baby. Bring him on in. Yeah, that's a whole different thing to worry about over there too. And well, I mean, 1, 2, 3 Cancun, unless Charles Barkley doesn't really like your team, then it's 1, 2, 3 Galveston, Texas, I think is what he said. I don't know if you guys have been there, but supposedly I've heard it's not very fun. At least the ocean part of it, the beach part. But another thing, Chad, if Danny does become the highest paid coach in college basketball, I wonder if there's going to be a reporter at a press conference there that's going to ask Danny if he's going to give some of the money back to UConn and whatnot, and Danny's going to go pure Jim Calhoun and say not a dime back, not a dime back.
They don't get a dime.
They will not get a dime back. So I hope one of those two things happen. But I mean, either way, it's for me. I love college basketball. NBA is fun to watch, fine to watch. But I mean, I obviously want the Bearcats to win every single championship year in and year out. But I also want college basketball landscape to just be fun to watch. Even if it's UConn, I hate UConn, but even if it is them being good again, then so be it. And I love the competition. I love the talk around it. So today was a good day in my eyes. But
I guess Reed's never heard of John Wooden. Like, are we to that point where people don't know about John Wooden?
Yeah, man, we're getting to there for sure. To there, first ever three-peat. Yeah. But yeah,
first three-peat since John Wooden won like 10 of 11.
Yeah. with old Bill Walton, R.I.P. and one Lou Alcindor, to the considered the two greatest college basketball players of all time, which is pretty
at least centers. I mean, I don't know how you don't consider Pistol Pete the greatest college player of all time when he
put
up a scoring record. I know, but he put up a scoring record that can never be touched.
Unless your name is Caitlin Clark, dude. Come on now. But yeah.
Then you get left off the Olympic team.
It's a whole different conversation for a whole different show. Man, you can tell it's summer when we're diving in deep to Danny Hurley, but there's a connection, obviously, and to college sports as a whole, and college football, college basketball. So, but we can parlay coaching into some recent news. Chad, you broke the news about Matt Miller, and then you kind of teased at Jake Thielen, but then the Thielen news became official a little bit after that, and kind of just break down your thoughts on that. And then Aaron, I want to hear your thoughts as well, because obviously you met and know Matt and Jake pretty well. So, Chad.
And I genuinely hate to see both of them go. I've known Matty since he was 5, 6, 7 years old, coming to games, sitting courtside with his dad. So pretty much the entire time that I've been doing this, I've known Matt. It's a difficult spot, because I don't think Matty was Matty's not a college basketball coach. Mm-hmm. Like, that wasn't when he saw his future, that wasn't what he saw as his future. So from ops, there's really not a whole lot of upward movement. And I think he got a really good offer in the private sector to go do some cool stuff and kind of hang around in the sports world. And, I think it was really hard for him to pass up, and obviously he didn't. I wish him nothing but the best, and I will enjoy getting to chat with him a little bit more now as he goes back to transitions back into fandom. Yep. And not working fingers to the bone 80 hours a week. But Matt's been a friend for a long, long time. I know Matt's mom and dad. I'm close with both of them. I was, I'm sad to see Matty go. Jake, that's a great high school job.
Yeah,
it's one of the probably top 3 jobs in the state of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Their alumni, that job means a lot to them. That place means a lot to them. So when I heard behind the scenes that they were kind of setting their sights on Jake, it was like, man, it's hard because he's young, and he was on a rocket ship career path in the college landscape. But that particular place, man, they've won state titles. He's one of the best players ever. I'm sure they put together a very nice compensation package for him,
right?
To come and work every day. He'll be at the school every day. and then coach. So it's going to be hard for a guy like that to turn that gig down because of how much, how much Covcath is kind of their heart and soul, if you will. So hate to see both of them go. Like I love both of those guys. I've known Matt longer. I actually used to call, like I covered when I was doing Northern Kentucky stuff. I would do play-by-play for Jake's games.
That's
So
cool.
then getting to know him as he got to Cincinnati, Kelsey was upset because when we would come to games, he would be the guy that we would talk to before games because he would sit over in that spot that we always sat. She's like, who are we going to talk to before games? Like, who's going to take Jake's place?
Kelsey is upset because he is the most handsome man on staff. That's why.
He is. Yeah, he's a good-looking man.
Yeah. I mean, now that he's out of the equation, we all might have a shot for being best-looking guy in the arena now.
Jake was. I mean, that's a good-looking man. I hope this doesn't make it back to him, but he's probably watching. But whatever. Hi, Jake. I hate to see both of those guys go because they're good dudes, like genuinely good humans. But the name of the game in college sports is turnover on your coaching staff, and 2 assistant spots are opening up this year, 1 administrative spot. I would think with the director of ops, I would guess they go with somebody that's done it for a while. There's nobody that's kind of next in line on the staff to step into that role. So if you're going out into the open market, go get somebody that has done it and knows what they're doing and kind of has some experience. That's my thinking on that. With Jake's spot, Jake kind of filled in for Mike Roberts when Mike left, coaching the bigs. I would guess, I don't know this for certain. I have not confirmed this. This is just me thinking out loud. I would guess whoever they bring in has experience coaching bigs because they really don't have that. I don't think on the roster. Buckley has done it a little bit, but I think with his ability to coach shooting and guard play, you probably want to lean into that a little bit and maybe go find somebody that's got the experience coaching bigs that you're a little short on staff wise. But like I said, that's just me thinking out loud. I do not have that like confirmed that that's the direction they're going to go. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I hate to see Matt go because he just always seemed like a good dude. Just easy to talk to and just genuinely you could tell how much he cares about the program. And I know he wore a lot of hats. His job title was not nearly what he took care of. And just to get somebody in there who just seemed from the outside looking in just about as selfless as they came and just wanted to help out in any way that he could. I think those are massive shoes to fill for one of the shortest guys on staff. That said, I think that this team is probably going to miss him tremendously in ways that the average fan will never truly understand. As for Jake, I hate to see him go. He, again, just another guy who was always quick to say hi to. I'm not around the basketball program nearly as much as you guys, but just anytime he was around, especially like during football tailgates and things like that, always there to say hi, just talk about whatever questions I ever had. I don't know. It just seemed like a good dude to talk to. And again, I think that he's going to be missed. Now, that said, I think it never hurts this staff to have an ace in the hole right over the river at a school that produces a shit ton of talent. And I am not at all upset to have something like that going on over there. So I'm okay if he's going to leave and be at, an upper echelon program right across the river. So be it.
Yeah. You guys, obviously I back up everything that you both said. I definitely think Jake was pregame. I mean, I barely knew the staff, obviously nowhere near as close as Chad does, but Jake would be one coach that would always walk up and just dap you up and say what's up and things of that sort. And then Maddie the same way. So yeah, I mean, it's two tough things to do. And I see a lot of people talking about the move to Covcath. I'm not at all doing this. I'm not one bit comparing Jake Thielen to Dan Hurley, but Dan Hurley was an assistant coach at Rutgers for 4 years. Probably, I don't know exactly what he was doing on the Rutgers staff, but then he went and took the head coaching job at St. Benedict's Prep, turned them into one of the best programs in the entire high school basketball programs in the country. I'm not saying he's going to do that at Covcath, but then he hopped back into the college realm, and obviously we all know where Dan Hurley is now.
I've got an even better connection there for you, Brent.
Ready.
Scott Ruthsatz, who was Covington Catholic's coach, that retired after winning 2 state championships and like 87% of his games or something while he was at Covcath, something crazy. Do you know who his boss was before he came to Covcath?
No.
St. Anthony's, Dan Hurley.
Wow. Yeah.
The old man. He was the number 1 assistant at St. Anthony's and got the Covcath job and moved his family to Park Hills to take over there. So there you go. There's the all the degrees of separation are covered.
Wow.
He's taken over for a guy that trained under the Hurleys.
Yeah, that's a wild thing. I didn't even know that we were gonna wind in that way, but hey, there we go. Some way we did it. But yeah, I can only imagine. Obviously, the things like this, I'm sure they don't come as surprises, but they are something that the staff, especially Wes, probably knows kind of a little bit of okay, I know that I've got to get this figured out. But it's also a situation where staff is already pretty doggone big all by itself. So the need to hire an immediate replacement, I don't think is really necessarily there. And especially because, obviously Jake didn't really have the recruiting role side of things. So,
yeah, I mean, they still recruit. I think that's a misnomer that have on this.
Right. Just like not on the road.
2 spots. Yeah. They just can't go on the road. But they still, if they have connections, if they have, if there was a kid from Covcath, Jake would have been able to recruit him.
Right.
He just wouldn't have been able to go out and like watch high school games or like AAU events or workouts or things like that.
Exactly. So like Aaron said, always great to have a nice little connection to a pretty big strong basketball program down there at Covcath and sports program overall. So that'll be fun to watch. Any quick questions, Aaron or Ryan, to Chad regarding what he was able to take in from practice last week for the
I will say before we get into that, there is a name every time I talk to somebody about the first couple weeks. There is a name that keeps coming up.
Okay.
It's going to make Aaron very happy.
Okay.
Arrington Page is getting a lot of buzz early for how healthy he looks, how well he's moving. He can shoot it. He's not a shooter, but he can shoot it for a big guy. Like there are a lot of people, obviously, like Wes and Dre and Dollar knew because of how long they were involved with him. But everybody else, now that they're starting to get a look, is starting to buzz a little bit about, man, he looks like a guy that can come in and be of assistance. Maybe not ready for prime time yet, but like best supporting actor, something along those lines. But there have been very, very high reviews through this first week plus of Arrington Page.
USC was a fucking mess last year.
He also had mono all last year.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't know. I think that he's got every opportunity to seize a giant moment in his life this season. The minutes are going to be there. All he has to do is essentially show why he should be what Reynolds was last year as far as minutes go, in that you should be able to slip pretty seamlessly into, you need to give Aziz the breathers, and Dylan Mitchell is better served as a 4. So I am your guy, Arlington Page, and give me those 20 minutes, and run with it, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he makes, well, one of the things, Aaron, the reason they brought Reynolds in was to be that offensive yin and yang to having Aziz,
which he showed flashes of, but
sure. But there was no
he could dunk the basketball, that's for sure.
Yeah. But, Page does it a little differently. It's not, at this point at least, going to be overly like with his back to the basket. It's going to be more facing up and running, filling lanes and hanging out in the dunker spot, things like that. But like, he's more of an offensive minded guy than AP is, and you're right, or than Aziz is, and you're right. If he comes in and continues what he has shown early, you're going to find yourself 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also for me, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say, let's not forget that Aziz did get injured last year, and it felt like before he had whatever, was it, cortisone shot or something? I don't even know. But before he got fixed, there was a couple little things here and there along the way that he was dealing with.
Yeah, every time he would jump, somebody would shove him in the back. Right.
Well,
and when he landed, it would torque his back. Shocking.
That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point I'm getting to is the fact that there may be a situation where you get extended minutes than just what you're thinking you're signing up for with that 18 to 20 sweet spot. So the sky could potentially be the limit for Arlington Page. He's just got to push himself and work.
But and Aaron, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, what Arlington Page knew coming into Cincinnati is the fact that Aziz Bandaogo was back. That an honorable mention, all Big 12 player, a guy who was testing the draft waters during the time that AP committed. He knew those things coming in, so he's probably attacking this year as like, yes, I want to help the team any way possible. I want to develop my game, but also knowing in the back of his mind he could be the man at the 5 spot next year when Aziz is gone. So it's kind of that whole mentality of upping your game to a different level and kind of seeing, showing the staff that they can trust you going forward. Not that, there needs to be some sort of a quick fix to figure it out next offseason, more so that AP is the guy and that he's ready to step up into that huge role. So,
well, Aziz might be back next year. So
that whole little, does he qualify for that?
Not yet, but I've been told that there's more coming in regards to that will go through, and that because he missed those first 8 games last year, right. The NCAA is going to grant everyone that missed any number of games because of the waiver debate, they are going to very likely get another year added on to the end of their career.
Who's Jamil going to play for after USF?
That was one of my first thoughts.
Florida Atlantic. Or no, it has to be an AAC team, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So
Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic. There we go.
Stay in the sunshine. They're in the American now.
My question is,
so
go ahead.
I do think he's going to get an extra year, Aaron.
That's crazy.
AP, obviously, you only saw shooting and whatnot, but what have you heard about his defense? Because obviously that was a big bugaboo on Jamil's side, where he did have a couple good plays with block shots and whatnot, but overall, as a whole, I wouldn't necessarily consider him a plus defender.
Well, the effort is off the charts different between AP and AP is. He has a chance if he really buys in. He has a chance to be a really good defender because, like we've talked about, he's light on his feet, he moves well, and he's long. So if you're hedging, if you're switching, if you're playing drop coverage and asking him to kind of close out or get back, like the things that you need him to do, he is physically capable of being really good at. So, I'm not familiar with how he looked at USC defensively. But for how Wes wants to use guys, if he's dialed into providing that, there's a lot of defensive plus for him because he fits kind of how they want their bigs to play. And the one thing I'm really looking forward to, I think there's a chance we'll see him and Mitchell on the floor quite a bit. And that just gives you two super long, super athletic top, one's a top 10 guy, one's a top 50, 60 guy.
Right.
That can change the way your defense handles the perimeter. Because if you've got two of those guys, one can be out and they can interchange, where you've always got one of them kind of as your last line of defense at the rim, where you don't lose anything covering ball screens, covering different off-ball screening actions where both of them are athletic enough to handle it. So I think it could be a huge positive if he continues working the way that he has shown up and caught people's eye. Like that's the only way that happens.
Right.
It's not like people are not talking or talking down about everybody else, but what they're doing is recognizing, hey, AP came in here ready to go.
Yeah.
So, on that part, that's a really good sign.
I mean, mono, like Aaron said, the mess that was USC coaching staff with probably 1 foot out of the door midway through the year when SMU came calling and saying, hey, let's set this whole thing up. So, it's exciting to see what then, Mike gets his hands on him in the Monster Factory, a whole fresh start for a high level prospect, and however much you don't want to say it, he was with Isaiah Collier throughout his entire, high school time. And obviously then over at USC and Collier got all the talk at USC. Now he gets a chance to just go out there and show, hey, I'm a beast too. So I'm excited to see what that type of mentality and the hard work put in. So yeah, that's music to my ears as far as that goes.
Gotta let the little birdie spread his wings and fly, man.
Hey now. Aaron, Ryan, any further questions about what old Chatty saw last Thursday?
None here. It's a little bit outside of my knowledge. I don't have many intelligible questions.
Hey,
Daddy's
why we got
around
with Royer coming next.
Day-Day's walking around looking normal, Chad?
Yeah. They're being obviously cautious with it.
Sure.
Sorry, was answering a email from a client. They're taking it slow. So he's doing, like, when they did the shooting drills, he was out doing the shooting drills. And then when they got into a little bit more of like the up and down type stuff, then they held him out and had him working on the side with the training staff. But he looks fine. There's no visible like hitch in his gait where you can tell like, so on that side of it, yeah, he looks okay. And everybody else is good to go.
I was going to say in that same vein, as we talk about injuries, CJ Frederick is coming back from having his hamstrings.
Full participant. Talked to him a little bit afterwards. He said, "Look, man, I just want to prove I can go for one more year."
Sure.
It's like we've mentioned it 1,000 times, but it's a lot like Newman last year that just was like, "Look, man, this hasn't gone how I wanted it to go. So I'm going to run it back and try to make the most of that last hoorah, if you will." So I mean, yeah, he looked really good, shot it well. Didn't have any limitations. He was out there for the whole practice. My understanding is he's been doing that dating back to after the season, you get a couple weeks where you can do like individual workouts essentially until school ends. And then when school ends, you get a couple weeks off, and then you come back at the beginning of June for the summer program. And everybody I talked to said he looked great in that like April period leading up to the end of classes where, you know, he was, I think, trying to win everybody's trust that like, hey, like I'm not, this is something that like means a lot to me. Like, let me show that I can do it.
You'll have to excuse me if I have some questions that may have popped up on the BCJ. I did listen, but it was in segments over the course of several days, so I'm a little fuzzy.
We understand.
There are some people that listen to that podcast only. There are some people that listen to this podcast only.
I know Tyler Betsy shot out of his mind at the end of practice.
He wasn't happy with it. He was mad that he missed 8.
You said it was 38 and then 42, no. Correct?
The first one he got 38 out of 50. The second one he got 42 out of 50.
Right.
And he still was not happy.
He averaged 40 out of 50 on two different
80%.
That's insane. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on if the shot doctor gets his hands on a kid who's already shooting 80%. What is the ceiling for this kid?
Wow.
And obviously he's not going to shoot 80%. I get that, but I'm just saying.
There is a little work to be done, I think. Because I think when he catches, he like goes like a lot of like, you know, the elite shooters, when they catch, it's pretty fluid.
Yeah.
And he's got like a little bit of a
swing low,
a reset. No, he just brings it down and gets into a shot like in the middle here, here, and then comes up, as opposed to like having that fluid bang bang.
Yeah.
So there is some work that can be done there. But I mean, as a catch and shoot guy, he just has a feel for the bottom of the net. I mean, I've only seen him one day. I'm not, and honestly, Aaron, the 42 out of 50 wasn't the most impressive thing he did. The most impressive thing he did is they did shooting drills.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like, it was a teams of 2, and he had one of there were 7 guys. So he had a manager with him that wasn't a walk-on, wasn't on the roster, just a manager that normally would be rebounding. They did 6 shooting drills where you have to make 12 on your team, and the only credit you get is for first. And he won 5 of 6 shooting drills with the manager.
By the end of the story, it all sounded familiar. So I do remember hearing that.
Yeah. That's more impressive. I've seen guys, that drill where you shoot 53s at the end of practice has been around a long time. Farad used to fill that up.
Yeah.
Jake and Jaron both used to fill that drill up. Troy was pretty good at it. But like I'm used to seeing that drill and the numbers, which 42 is, I think Farad hit 45 one time, if I recall right. 45 out of 50.
Cop City, baby.
And I'm guessing, as good as Tyler shoots it, he'll have one of those days. But look, you win a shooting drill with a manager. One, maybe we need to get the manager a jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say either the manager needs to start, playing, or the other guy is not good.
Dude, that guy can shoot, and he can shoot, really shoot.
Yeah. I think we talked on the phone about this, Chad, but I mean the main thing is with that. Well, first off, that was the reputation that Betsy had on the recruiting trail, on the AAU trail. So it kind of fits the bill of what was kind of his scouting report up to this point. The additional things was that he was starting to put the ball on the floor this past year a little bit more in the high school ranks. He was starting to become a playmaker a little bit more in the high school ranks as well. So I'm excited to see where that part of his game develops. But if you can pin down the shooting aspect of things, first and foremost, that is you're one step ahead of the game as far as everything else goes. Because if you're shooting it at that high of a clip, and then you just need to build strength and build the other part of your game, I think that I'd take that recipe, especially with his length and his athleticism on top of it all. So all good news out of those two. I did have one question, and then I'll pass it back down to you, Aaron. Aziz, did you notice or hear any mention of any kind of feedback that he got out of the testing of the draft waters or whatnot?
I watched workout. Nothing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine he's kind of still got the same type of game. He didn't go out and develop some wild 3-point shot or anything during the offseason, but
he did not. I can confirm that.
Good. Fair. I mean, he made one last year, so we'll see if he swings away. But McKinley, was he kind of doing the same type of shooting drills, just kind of not obviously?
Yeah, he's not a shooter. Like he can make a shot, but he's not a shooter. Like,
yeah,
that's not something you're going to get from Tyler McKinley in that setting.
Okay. Fair. Aaron, you got anything else?
I do. What was first practice with Tim Buckley like?
Remember, this is not really a practice.
Yeah,
it's a workout. So it's a lot different than what you would see from like an orchestrated practice. This is more like,
right,
we have these 6 things that we want you to do over this next 45 minutes. Let's get through them, as opposed to like, we're working on our offense for XYZ. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Also, it was, I think, his 3rd day on the court with the team. So pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not just going to come in.
Unless you're Tyson Bite.
He was pretty quiet the first couple days. Once he got warmed up, he's also the defensive coordinator. Like, he's got a little bit bigger piece of the pie invested, I guess. But I mean, he was talking to guys. Like, guys were coming over, and he was, shot doctoring. He was administering care, if you will.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I wanted to hear without leading you there. Good.
But he wasn't like super boisterous, like out on the like Drew gets after it.
Mm-hmm.
Dollar and Dre will at times like get after it. Buckley is not quite there yet, but he was doctoring shots, Aaron.
There you go.
Good.
Connor Hickman won Monster of the Week for the opening week of workouts and whatnot.
I think he's going to be really good, Brent. I really do.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating for me. I mean, this team has 7 starters. We're going to talk about this, throughout the summer. So whatever, but you have 2 starting point guards. You have 4 guys that can start for 3 spots, 2, 3, 4, and then Aziz. So you have 7 guys that are starter quality. Where does Hickman fit in that? I think it might be as the starting 2 guard. I genuinely do.
It's a good problem to have. Definitely.
Yeah, but if you start Hickman, that means one of Stemos, Dan, and Mitchell have to sit.
Right.
So I don't know.
I hope we're having the conversation, though, that 2 other players have entered their name into that conversation as guys who could be starters in both Arrington Page and in Tyler Betsy before, out of conference is over. Not that they're necessarily putting themselves
asking a lot.
I understand.
I think they are legitimate, like, rotation guys, Aaron. When I talk about starters, I talk about like if my point being, like, if one of the point guards went down, you would feel pretty good with the other one being the starter, like confidently. If one of the four guys on the wing went down, you would feel good about the other three being your starters. I don't know if Aziz goes down. I feel great about Page being okay. That's now your starter.
And I guess that's where I'm hoping that we get to. I understand it's a big ask. That's just me being probably me being Brent.
Hey, I like it. I like it though. And I'm going to say, if that happens, then this team is the bar is raised. If that becomes the case,
yeah, I do not expect that to happen in the 24-25 season, but hopefully it does.
Right. Yeah, I could see maybe CJ, if he's fully healthy, fully back in his locked in, full on Iowa 48% from 3, then he probably enters the discussion for more, a bigger slice of the pie. But I mean, if Hickman's on this roll, I think we've already mentioned it a lot. We're going to continue to mention it throughout the summer, obviously. But when you're on the top of someone's scouting report, you're going to get defenses keying in on you. You're going to get a Dan Skillings Jr. taking it personally to defend you and lock you down night in, night out.
Right.
But when you're kind of that third, fourth, fifth option, then that's when it's going to be, the ability to kind of go off and have more open looks and have the ability to kind of affect the game in different ways. So all good problems to have, and all positive things coming out of practice number 1. Aaron, anything more?
I'm sure there are. Dylan Mitchell. How did Dylan Mitchell look in his first run with this team?
Bouncy. Very bouncy. That kid gets off the floor and to the rim quick.
Mm-hmm.
Quick. And he dunks.
So are we
loud.
still okay to continue? Are we still okay to continue drawing comparisons to Sean Kemp?
Let's not get carried away. You're talking one of the 5 greatest dunkers of all time, sir.
And Kemp was a big dude too. I feel like Mitchell's got that more like slender, just ability to just throw down, just long, athletic.
But they were doing a drill where you catch on the left wing in the left corner, you catch, you pump fake, you drive, you pass to the top, you catch, you pump fake, you drive, you pass fake to the wing, or the right corner, and then the right corner pump fakes and goes straight at the rim and dunks it. And there were 2 or 3 of those that Mitchell dunked that you were like, oh, that was loud. That was aggressive, sir. Which, you get a guy that can catch on that wing and crush a closeout and go dunk on somebody's head. It can change momentum in games.
Oh yeah. Especially on a fast break too. Like we had a couple of those this past year where that kind of swung the entire crowd. Just one big steal, hustle play. Yeah, day-days. Yeah, it's just the momentum can absolutely turn on one big flush. That's why we had the SKs and the Troyco Paynes and the Jaron Cumberlands of the world, which obviously all of them studs, but they wouldn't just go up and absolutely hammer one down. So the fact that the repertoire is a little bit crazier with this group, which is awesome. It's absolutely awesome.
Did anybody make you raise an eyebrow as in, oh, what have you been doing already this offseason, sir?
I mean, Josh looked really good. Josh, like I said, I mentioned Thursday night, Josh, they had like a one-on-one competition between all the bigs.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a point if you stop the guy. And then you got a point if you scored when it was your turn on offense. And then you stayed on the floor when you scored. Josh won that competition, didn't have to run. Everybody else had to run. So he accumulated the most points, which that's kind of what you want to see from a guy going into year 3, that in a one-on-one drill, he's going to have that kind of veteran savvy to know how to, get the ball in the basket.
I'd love to see him
get stops.
find that. Yeah, I would love to see him find the get the ball in the basket part of his game.
Even if it's just the get stops part of the game. I obviously Drew Holiday went off last night in the NBA Finals game too, but you saw these highlights of him come out today about how in the offseason he was more about taking on dudes as the defender and like shutting you down one-on-one defensively. And I mean, if that's John Newman, and so if Josh Reed can just say, hey, listen, yes, the offense is great, definitely need to continue to refine the offensive side, but if you lock in 1,000,000% and just be that defensive stopper, then you're going to carve out a role on the team. So, yeah.
Well, especially in this league where there's 3s and 4s everywhere that are NBA good.
Yep.
Like you have to have as many guys as possible on your roster that can guard the 3 and the 4.
Exactly.
Because the other team has an all-league 3 and an NBA 4. You know what I mean? Like, especially with how this league is, what this league is doing in the portal,
it's unbelievable.
Still is all the great players want to come play in this league.
Loses the guy for the season, and they just instantly go out and supposedly it was
get an all-conference guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Supposedly it was all already in the mix, but still.
Well, but they called him and said, hey.
Yeah, we actually need you now. Come on.
There's the guy that you were worried about. He's out for the year, so just come take his spot. And let's be honest, Elmarco Jackson stunk last year on a team that was desperate for depth.
Mm-hmm.
So they got better immediately. One day after a guy in your rotation blows out his knee, somebody steps in and just takes his spot like that. It's crazy.
This damn league, man. It's insane.
You're looking right now with what Texas Tech has done and what Kansas State has done.
Yep.
Baylor.
Yep.
Well, no, I'm saying
you
add them into the 6 that we were already talking about.
Right.
We're talking about Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, Arizona, Baylor, then Cincinnati,
mm-hmm.
and now Texas Tech and Kansas State are right there.
Yep.
So maybe 5, maybe 8 top 25 teams in one league.
They aren't slowing down either. It's unbelievable.
No weeks off. 2 games every week.
10 weeks.
20 games. The fuck are we doing here?
Big 12 gladiators.
Yeah.
Nitros in the box, just shooting. It's nuts. I mean, but that's look, the reality is this is the type of team like we are very impressed with the talent level of this team.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do this every year in this league. Like this is what your roster has to look like every June 10th. Like you better be this good or else there's bad times ahead in November.
Yeah. Especially because I mean, what UCF picked up a big man that reclassified. Utah's got the Cincinnati of Utah that they're forming over there with the Madsen twins and whatnot. West Virginia is going to be fascinating to see with DeVries taking over. It's just it's going to be a scary year. It's just this is a league not lack for talent, and the fact that the Bearcats are making a massive move this year when everyone else is also doing the massive move is just an awesome thing to see. So let the best team win, man. Like Aaron said, 20 games, all gas, no brakes.
$180 season tickets, $180 for 10 Big 12 games of that caliber.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do that.
Yeah.
Do that.
100%.
I did want to get into this a little bit. What's everyone's thoughts on SK's little tantrum on X, basically upset that Dylan Mitchell is going to be wearing 23. First, I would say there's a little more to it that people don't know that I can't really get into at this point in time that makes me understand where SK is coming from a little bit more. But come on. The reason I won't come back is because they haven't retired my jersey. I love you, SK, but that's a little out over your skis. Like, you have been honored here. They have done everything when you have come back in town,
right,
to make it known. You weren't a consensus first team All-American. Now, is that bad luck because Russ Smith and Shabazz Napier were also in that list that year? Yeah, that's a little bit of bad luck. But you weren't a National Player of the Year. You weren't a consensus first team All-American. The farthest you went was a Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think you can demand things at that point. If you play in a Final Four, go look at the 92 team. Those guys show up, they get the instant star treatment. Guess what?
Yeah.
Also, none of those guys have had their jersey retired. Only 3 guys, and 2 of them were National Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So I understand him being he's always, and rightfully so, been a huge advocate of himself. It's why he got where he did.
Right.
But to take it out on UC because of that, I think is silly. I just don't think I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think I mean Arlington Page is wearing 22 next year. There's a pretty doggone good player that wore 22 at UC. And you know, for me, I think that the two sides could find a happy medium. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily retiring numbers, because there is a distinct set out, you know, list of what you have to do in order to get your number retired. And I mean, it's a consensus All-American. I mean,
it's almost like there's a guy who coaches here who went to a school who had a lot of really good players, and they've somehow found a way to, I don't know, honor those guys in different ways. And maybe you sit down with him and figure some of this shit out, so everyone is happy. Also, yeah, I'm team. There's dudes that are probably in line before SK.
Well, in SK's defense, he is the number 2 all-time scorer in the history of the school. Like, the only person that scored more points here is Oscar.
Yeah.
So I do get it from that standpoint.
But did he have arguably the most badass Sports Illustrated cover in the history of the magazine?
No, and also Danny Fortson almost scored as many points as SK and played a year less. So
yes, there's that.
If I was making a list of like what needs to get done, SK would be on that list. I don't know that he would be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that takes us to, you know, this area of like what you're getting at, Aaron. There is a way to honor players better than what Cincinnati's doing that does not include retiring your number.
Right.
It also isn't even just limited to basketball.
Well, I thought they were doing a good job with football, and then the program got great and they stopped honoring people.
And now, just to catch up, you're going to have to honor somebody every quarter.
Although the murals
like
are
3
pretty
a
cool.
year. What's that?
The little murals that they did up on the concourse.
Sure. That's not the Ring of Honor.
Right. But
you're going to have to honor somebody every quarter to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need to do like 3 at a time,
seasons.
three a year. Well, I mean, like every other home game is going to have somebody getting inducted into the Ring of Honor.
You guys had one on the
BCJ
BCJ
yourself
pod
up that much
last week.
Yeah. I mean, Derek Wolf's not up there. That might be the best interview in the history of this network.
He's the man.
I love that man.
He's the man. Yeah.
It was so good.
I can't tell you how mad I was that I was, busy having a baby when Derek Wolf
Yeah.
was on.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
sorry, Aaron.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll get guests too. Derek Wolf would have been great. I mean, I listened to the whole Rogan. I would have been able to just fire away, but hey, here we are.
It was literally when he could do it.
Right.
And
right.
we got all the way down to 1 hour window on a Thursday afternoon. And it was like, look, I know how this shit works.
Yeah.
If I don't say yes to this could be a 6-month thing.
Yeah.
Back and forth trying to get him on.
Right.
You can come on Thursday at noon. Yes, sir. We will see you Thursday at noon. I will figure the rest of this shit out. If I have to talk to you by myself, we will do that.
Well, then you saw he enjoyed it. So now he's like, in his mind, he's like, all right, I'll come back. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I get to talk to other people that are on this channel. Oh, these guys are cool too. Oh, what? We got a former Bearcat football player on here too? Yeah, okay. I like that too.
Did you get to watch it earlier?
No, I did not get to watch it. I was running around.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. It was.
I'll tap in at work tomorrow.
Here's the beauty of it.
Don't get caught.
Here's the beauty. I've talked about this a little bit, but here's the beauty of it. That is a guy that didn't grow up with a pot to piss in. Like, legitimately grew up with as bad a situation as you can grow up in. And he worked his ass off. He was about the right things. And then he played 10 years in the NFL and made a shit ton of money. And he won a Super Bowl. And now he doesn't have to care about anything. Like, doesn't have to care, even a little bit. And living his best life.
It gave $500,000 back to his
high school.
Like that's awesome. Like
high school.
Yeah.
I mean, he said it right. Like, you get to put your name on something. I get to put my name on the indoor facility or the training facility.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna do that. But such a smart, funny dude. Like, that was a blast. It was awesome.
Yeah. He's a man. Absolute man. Well, should we timestamp this and we'll rip with Roy, then we'll mailbag it. A light mailbag this week, so wanted to fill you in on that, but we cannot surpass my favorite segment of every single show. So, Chad, hit us with a timestamp and then hit us with the new rip.
Okay, Brent. Anything you say, sir. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. And I was sorry, Aaron. Before I was actually messaging with the client, I was ironing something out with New Riff. Aaron gave me that look like messaging with a client. I saw it in his eyes.
It's definitely
someone needs to get Daddy Aaron some New Riff for Father's Day this upcoming weekend.
Wait, New Riff. We need to send Aaron a bottle so he can gum it on the baby and put her to sleep.
Ooh. the old bourbon gum, man.
We're not there yet in the baby process to where she's screaming all night.
You got a couple months to go before tea.
Yeah, they're still like the cute little baby cries. They're just
yeah. Oh.
Anywho, New Riff, fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative. They produce award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code BEARCATS24. For information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
All right.
Yeah, Roy.
Here we go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Take your shot first. Take your shot. Oh yeah.
There we go. Thanks, new riff. Kind of more open-ended to start,
Like it.
because it's kind of like an open-ended time, so to say. What do you think that both Scott Satterfield and Wes Miller are making like main points to hit on right now, like getting ready? Well, I mean, football's closer off, but what do you think Wes Miller will be looking to hit on the most going in when season gets closer for him?
I mean, for football, it's so much more encompassing because they just weren't good. You know,
Yep.
like the overall message, I generally, and we have gotten this sense listening to the team, is we're not going to suck again. Like, we will not suck again. And I think you have to continue playing off of that, of like pushing those guys off of that motivation, because, you know, fear can be a hell of a motivator.
Mhm.
Fear that you're going to get stuck in this rut where you'll go down. And you know, you talk to some of those Tuberville guys, and read culture is kind of, I think, what I'm getting at. But like, you talk to some of those Tuberville guys, and it really burns them that things bottomed out on their watch.
Yep.
I
I
don't
guess
think
I was talking more X's and O's wise.
have a good quarterback.
Yeah. I think that's the.
Like,
what do you think they're building?
man.
Do you think they're looking to do anything different with Sorsby, or just have Sorsby do what they wanted?
Everything.
Well, it's hard to tell, Ryan, because they had a quarterback that couldn't do a lot of the basic stuff that like they want to do. Like, they couldn't pass it over the middle. They couldn't, you know, in very few situations could they cleanly push the ball down the field. A lot of the times when they were successful with the passing game, it was like the defense was playing 7 yards off Henderson. So he would just run 7 yards, turn around, catch football. There wasn't really much they could do because the quarterback just didn't produce the things that he needed to produce.
I feel like also for the most part, like the script was pretty solid, and then after those opening scripted plays were done, then it was like,
because your quarterback couldn't throw, Brent.
right. Because no, I know that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like, so like that side of things is like good, but once you get past that, you're like, okay, now we need a playmaker at quarterback, and so I just think that completely changes things. But go ahead.
Defensively, let's see what this 3 safety stack is all about.
Yeah,
it has been the best defense in the Big 12 for 7 years. Consistently, like not at every point throughout 7 years, but for 7 years, they have been the most consistently strong defense Iowa State that this conference has seen. Let's see it. Let's see it take hold and hopefully give them a defense that, you know, didn't put them in disastrous situations. That defense put them in disastrous situations last year.
Oh, I think the coaching staff just looks at that safety room and they're like, wow, this is what a Power 5 safety room is supposed to look like, and we have one. So I think that within itself is about as big of a change defensively that they have for them. But yeah, I think like X's and O's wise, first off, you've got to like, I mean, Royer, I bang this drum so much. I'm interested to hear how much it actually affects players. Is just general confidence level out of guys. I just feel like once the losses started to pile on last year, like the confidence level just completely dissipated, and then you started to see, you know, hear the antics that were happening off field, and you were hearing just all kind of the disconnect that there was in certain ways on the team. I just feel like before the X's and O's even get pushed forward, I think the importance was to kind of break down everyone, build them back up, and try and find restored confidence in the returning players, and then have those additional players know that, listen, last year is not the same. We're going to get back to winning ways. I feel like confidence is a massive thing. I think this offseason is going to do nothing but boost and help out that side of things. So I feel like that's an intangible that goes beyond the X's and O's.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. 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 I think that's a good point
I would think that the X's and O's of the offense, I would imagine that one of the things that has to haunt Scott Satterfield is the red zone touchdown efficiency or lack thereof. Just how dreadful they were in the red zone last season. I would
Aaron,
think
it
that would
all
have to
comes
be-
back to one: they couldn't pass the ball. It
Yeah, I
all
understand.
connects back into that.
I get it, but at this, I'm also trying to make other points here, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like every point dials back directly into they couldn't pass, they couldn't move the ball through the air, and in college football 2024, like that's not how it's played anymore.
And if you can't do it from the minus 30, and you're not, I mean, the plus 30, then you're not going to be able to do it back down and everything's crowded inside the 20-yard line. It makes it easier on
Right.
the defense. So you got to be able to run.
I guess the crazy thing is the fact that Emory is still somehow an NFL quarterback. So,
Well, it's with a
we're-
team that fits his athletic profile. Like they
Yeah.
have the same guy, but he can pass.
it's just
Somewhat.
what a world we live in.
Yeah.
But I think that when you talk about the culture thing, I think it's more than just culture. Kind of getting back to what you were saying, Brent, when you talk about just wanting to tear everything down and build it back up, I think that goes beyond culture. I think that they've done more than just the culture rah-rah, let's put a slogan out there and follow that. Like they literally have seemingly gutted everything down to the studs, no pun intended, because you kind of leaned into your best players there.
You're right, Darren. They gutted everything except the studs.
So
Corleone,
completely intended.
Lucandra. Yeah. I like the wordplay there. They literally gutted everything but the studs.
And so I think that it's going to be fascinating to see how the guys who weren't here last season and didn't get to experience what a cluster this entire program was last year, especially towards the end of the season where some of the games just gave up on at times. I think it'll be interesting to see how those guys buy into what everyone right now is saying and doing the right things. It's going to see it. Like I'm interested to see what happens when you face adversity and where this team comes out the other side of that based on what they've gone through in the off season together. And that's where I think we're really going to find out how bought into the new culture, if we're going to continue to use that word, to find out how bought in they are into all of it. And if they really have been kind of putting everybody into their shoes and seeing how the new guys empathize with what they went through last year.
Yeah. Guys want to win, man. More than anything. Basketball, that's an interesting one, Royer, because I don't think offensively much changes. Like
at length, defense, rebounding.
Yeah, like what they did last year.
You muted yourself, Chad.
What they did last year structurally was effective. They got good looks, both at the rim, from the 3-point line, like in the mid range. They did not take a lot of fucked up shots last year. They just needed more talent to elevate their shot making, and I think that's something that some of it you are counting on development. Dan, Jizzle, Day, Steamos being more consistent and not having these like wild hot and cold streaks. Maybe a little less hot on the hot streaks. I would trade for a little less cold when he is ice cold. But you're going to deal with that. That's 3-point shooting. You're going to have nights that you're throwing it into the ocean, and you're going to have nights you can't throw it off the deck. But I think they didn't change much in terms of like what they're going to want to do offensively. You'll have more wrinkles, and obviously with a veteran team, you'll add some more stuff to the stuff that's already in place. Defensively, I think it would be interesting. I think they can turn the heat up a little bit more. I don't think, I know everybody wants to be like, press all the time, press. In this league, you can't. It's just a bad strategy because there's so many good point guards and there's so many good coaches, and teams are just going to scheme around your press.
There's finishers too.
Yeah. So, but I do think the way the lineup is set, there are some rotations now where you can say, you know what? In this window, like in this 4-minute window or whatever, we're really going to try to speed them up. We're really going to try to take over. Like you're up 6, maybe going into the under 8 timeout in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, all right, we're going to come out of this timeout and really trying to take this thing from 6 to 12 in this 4-minute segment. I think, that's part of the fun. Everybody, when they talk about the versatility and how much, how many combinations there potentially are you can play with on this roster, they think of it from an offensive standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got Day Thomas is a very, very, very good on-ball, top of the defense defender. And you've got Dylan Mitchell and Dan Skillings, which Dylan is an elite defender. I think Dan has that potential in year 3. And then Aziz at the back end. Okay. Let's try to fuck these guys up for a couple minutes here and see how that works out. So I do think there's schematically some things different defensively you can do, Ryan, that they didn't have the personnel for last year.
I think also you just think about personnel, like you're saying, a kick out 3 instead of Johnny Newman taking it, which he had some strong games, sure, but as a whole he's not going to be hitting it at the same clip as Connor Hickman will,
Right.
Or if you're kicking it out to CMOS in a small ball 4 role and he's shooting these threes early in the season instead of Vic Locken shooting them early in the season. Just
right.
Kind of just that side of things, I think, just snowballs so much to the point where you're going to just see everyone else starts to kind of get that hot hand too. And if everyone just takes that little step up, talking about the Dan, Jizzle, Day, then as a whole, these kick out 3s are going to start to go in a little bit more. And then, like you mentioned as well, down low, Dylan Mitchell's going to be able to finish a lot more of these, offensive rebounds and putbacks. And I think Aziz will continue to get stronger for the most part. And then we've already talked glowingly about AP. So, I mean, personnel, period, can help X's and O's tremendously.
Aaron will tell you how many times we sat here and just looked at the number of offensive rebounds and the number of points produced off of those offensive rebounds after games and went, I don't understand it. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a team get 13 offensive rebounds for 6 second chance points. Like, I don't.
Well, and then
my brain.
But then we'd get to the layups and dunks, and you've only made 50% somehow, and you're like, what?
Yeah, most of them were on offensive rebounds that they freaking missed. Point blank.
I know. Yes.
So I would like to not have those conversations this year, Aaron. I would like to say, oh, damn, they got 13 offensive rebounds and scored 16 points. That's efficient.
Roy, round 2.
Number 2.
Good question, Roy. You're so good at this.
All right, with all the buzz around Chad having on Derek Wolfe and saying it was one of the bigger guests we were going to get to interview, I was wondering if you guys could choose one athlete from Bearcat sports history, dead or alive, to have on this show with us, athlete or coach.
Wow.
Let's hear it.
What a question. What a question.
So mine we've already had in one of the more tragic stories in BCJ history, where we did an 1.5-hour interview with Jason Kelsey and the file corrupted when we hit stop record and we lost it. And we're not able to air even a minute of that interview. But getting Jason back on now, I think, is going to be even better. When it happens, it'll happen. I'm just not positive when. But the stories that guy has to tell, the life that he has now lived because of the opportunity he was afforded here, and then he took that opportunity and like it literally ran through walls, mostly those of his bathroom, to get his brother out when his brother was scared of him. I think Jason is probably the easy answer in this moment in time. Like, of course, like I'd love to have Oscar on. I don't know how receptive he would be to that arrangement. Koufax, yeah. But Jason right now is, kind of the gold standard. Although Wolfie was right up there.
Yeah. I mean, Kenyon is hot on the media trail these days.
Yeah.
So Kenyon would know what to talk about and fill in a huge entire spot, which would be fun to have like Kenyon with DeMar on. DeMar's already comfortable with us. So I think the two of them would kind of tag team pretty well.
DeMar and Logan, who says no?
I mean, the three of them would just go all in. That'd be a ton of fun. I mean, Fortson would be fun to have on. I feel like we haven't really heard, much of this. I don't really think I've recalled any interviews that Fortson has done.
I don't think so either. I don't know that I've ever. Apparently, super personable and like a really like talkative, funny guy.
Right.
But he's a little reserved, a little more quiet. But
Nick with
Nick
Corey would be fun.
Yeah, Nick would be great. Nick and Terry.
Nick, Terry, and Corey. Yeah.
Let them chop it up.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I think if you get Jason and Travis and maybe a guest appearance from one,
Travis is never happening. I'll just tell you right now, Travis is never happening.
T Swift hopping on for a second.
No, it's just his schedule is so absurd and trying to like. I know like what UC went through just trying to make New Heights happen.
Right.
And that was like something he was going to make a bunch of money for.
Well, you heard Derek say it too.
Like he was going to make money. He was going to be paid.
Wolf said he's impossible to get a hold of.
Yeah. So, yeah. And that's one of his boys.
Right.
So, yeah. Travis isn't happening. It's like me explaining to Kelsey that she's not meeting Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce is not coming on this podcast network. It is not happening.
Man.
I feel like you could maybe throw in like Huggins. I still think that there's be some crazy stories there. Obviously, he's not somebody that he's on the trail back to good.
A round table, Aaron of Bob, Mick, Jump, Wes. Yeah, that'd be nice.
But yeah, I think there'd certainly be some stories.
That's
there.
also never happening, Brent.
Oh, I know, but I would pay money. I would pay money to. I mean, we probably wouldn't record it, but I would pay money to be at that round table and just.
Yeah, Mick would be.
Yeah, Mick and Bob would get along great. I'm sure.
That's why I want to be at the round table. Yeah. Let me be at the round table.
I'm sure they would just have a lovely conversation.
I feel like I feel like we could take this question and go to maybe the most awkward podcast we could ever have. Getting like Senator Tuberville. I think that would be an awkward conversation. Bobby Brannon to talk about his cousin being employed here. That would be an awkward conversation. Nancy Z, she'd be an awkward conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you could would have been Bearcats like OJ Mayo, Michael Beasley.
They already did that one. Brent.
OJ Mayo was never coming here. Walker might have, Beasley might have. OJ was not coming here.
They said they would have gotten Jacob Poland too. I mean, that's not a bad little squad.
I really look forward to doing an interview with Bob. Yeah, just one of those things, guys. Just had some good guys. We won some games.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chuck. These guys just don't play
Hey,
anymore.
Chuck would have been a good one.
Chuck would have been. I wish this was a thing like the way it is now while Chuck was still rocking and rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck might have been the best interview in
We would have just
network history if we would have had Chuck.
fed him softballs and he would have just
Oh, that might have been the best ever.
Would you have gotten him a cake?
Oh, dude, I had a piece of that cake as a fan.
Of course you did.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend and I at the time, we went down after the game. You know, I was a little lit up on the. I think there were Millie lights before the Cincy lights were out, but it was just had a piece of the cake.
The least surprising thing ever.
Fantastic
that Brent had a piece of Chuck's cake.
Yeah. Told Dan he's the man. Love you, Dan. And then he said,
we've had Dan on a bunch of times. Dan's up there with best guests in the history of the network.
Oh, yeah. Uke was a good interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ryan, thanks for the question. Let's throw 60 names at you and just say we'll take them all one by one.
Well, I thought it would be a good one that you guys would be able to throw in some names and stir up the pot a little bit. But
Marty,
there's not much going on, so I thought it'd be
Marty would be. What? Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, Marty.
I was gonna say Marge Shot would be another awkward interview.
Jeez.
No.
Oh, Marty Gilliard, not Marge Shot.
Marty Gilliard, Aaron.
I understand. I was just trying to go back to my awkward interviews, and I think Marge Shot would be an awkward interview.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, she is not. What's her connection to UC?
She had her name all over the stadium. What do you mean?
John White, we did say Big O right out the gate. Yeah. I mean, Big O's interviews, his he sounds good. Kind of, good communicative in them. So, but I mean, I don't know. That'd probably be tough.
Probably.
But yeah, Tony Bobbitt. Oh, my man, Tony Bobbitt. Bring him on.
Tony would be a great one. That'd be a great one. Getting some stories from his day.
Oh yeah.
Most of those. I mean, we've had most of the other, like the more recent guys. We've had almost all of them on.
Right.
Still need to get Trey on and Gary on. We've had pretty much everybody else.
Gary would be awesome for sure.
Kyle would be awesome.
Oh yeah, Kyle would be awesome too.
Mick would be great. Mick will happen, I would guess, after his coaching career.
Yeah.
I don't think he would agree to come on to a UC podcast while he was at LA, just for the optics of it. But once he retired, I think we could get Mick.
Yeah. Have a question there, Royer.
Got one more? Or is that it?
That was it.
We got a bunch of minutes out of that, so it was good.
Yeah, good job, Royer.
Hell yeah.
That's why it's my favorite segment, dude. Oh yeah. All right, let's timestamp it up.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins, etc. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. I did have a correction from earlier.
Already.
Volcano Bay is open. It's just not so.
Oh, okay.
This is how awesome the BCJ community is we have a member that works at Universal in Orlando, and he's hooking Kelsey and the crew up with tickets to Universal for after the day after Nationals. Mm-hmm. So because we got a pass, the passes aren't good at Volcano Bay. But if you just go to Volcano Bay, then you can get in Volcano Bay. 1 year I want to go because it sounds awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big water park guy myself, but you know what? Sure, Volcano Bay.
I'd
Fire
rather
it
do
up.
water slides than roller coasters.
Okay. I like the
Personally.
coasters. But you know,
I'm a coaster guy.
I thought you
I
were
think I
going
grew
to.
out of it,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. See, that's the part that I grew out of at water parks. You know. But see, I thought you were going to correct the Bobby Hurley Sr. instead of Dan Hurley Sr.
Danny
Because I
Hurley.
know you knew
I
it.
thought I corrected it at the time.
Yeah, Bob Hurley Sr.
Dan.
Yeah. It's Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby
Bob.
Hurley Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got it.
What?
We're on the same page. But
They're all Hurleys to me.
yeah, we're hurley it up, man. Hurley it up. But before we dove in, I did want to quickly mention the commitments from the past weekend. Obviously, you and Keegan had a nightcap about that last night. Definitely
Go
advise
check
you
that
to
out.
first check that out. Then also read the articles. Really good job by Keegan on those. Paul Nelson, linebacker out of Princeton, really glowing things about him that you can see on Twitter and through different avenues. But he said some really good things about the program, and obviously being a Cincinnati kid and kind of how he still views this as, you know, it can still be the mecca of college football. Go through UC.
Defensive player of the year in Ohio as a junior.
Yep. Big time player. Yeah, his tape is awesome. CJ Crite kind of fits that star position for the Bearcats. Obviously, Keegan said that they kind of loved what they saw, the recruiting staff loved what they saw to him. And then Mikael Skinner, a wide receiver, that guy, former running back, 6'3", 220. That's gonna, there's some promise in that guy's future. So
it's a big one.
Yeah. Stud too. Watch his tape too. Gosh, he's got some electric plays. So did want to mention those before we dove right into the mailbag.
All right.
Quick one.
It is that. There's only 2 questions in the whole mailbag. So unless
there's been a couple that have been added while we've been going.
Okay.
Of course there is. Well, we'll get to
all right,
those
I'll get
after
this
we
one.
go.
I'll get this one first, Aaron. In the football mailbag, what's the best trick play in UC football history?
Ooh.
And
Good
I would
one.
say the best trick play in UC football history is getting Ryan Royer a block punt.
Woo! They never saw it
is.
coming. They never
Yep.
saw it coming.
They would have never thought it was me. Mine would be the Peach Bowl when we went for the home run pass and that damn NFL safety spoiled it for us.
But that was the bread and butter
That's-
play. That wasn't a trick play.
Yeah, that's not a trick play.
Oh, it was a trick because we should have ran the damn ball. But that's just
you tricked yourselves. Tricked yourselves. Yes.
yeah, that's how it works.
You went with the trick or treat variety.
Yeah.
Man.
That's funny.
I'll let you guys go. I'll see if I come up with
Or why not hit your future NFL tight end, or just have your future
Oh,
quarterback. Just
I
tuck
got
him
it.
in. Yeah.
The fake punt versus ECU. Joel DeBlanco calls
Let's
his own
go!
number up 45.
Let's go.
Luke
What
Fickle
was
had a
that?
little conversation at midfield after that game.
56-13
Brian
or
Mason
something like
says-
that, right?
Brian Mason said, "S my, you know what?"
Phenomenal. Wasn't there another big trick fake punt? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we had a fake punt versus Georgia in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Obviously the George Wynn pass, the fake run pass. Travis Kelce caught it and took it the distance.
That's the one I was gonna say. The
it's a
jump
phenomenal
pass,
one.
Travis.
Senior night against SMU was the Philly special. We'll call it the Bearcat special when Dez got the receiving touchdown. What about another one would be this past year, the 2-point conversion when Evan Prater lined up at center and snapped the ball and then rolled out and caught the 2-point conversion. Some good trick plays there.
We should have ran that play every time in the red zone. Maybe we would have
Bread
scored.
and butter, man.
Brent, there is no doubt in my mind you would win a Cincinnati Jeopardy edition. Cincinnati edition of Jeopardy.
I'm a little too obsessed. It's a little scary, but yeah.
Agreed. You have $1,000 to bet on which team wins this Bearcat intra-squad summer scrimmage. Who are you taking? Team Red, Jizzle James, CJ Frederick, Dan Skillings, Dylan Mitchell, Arnton Page with a bench of Tyler Betsy and JJ Rembert, or Team Black, Day Thomas, Connor Hickman, Seamus Lukosius, Josh Reed, Aziz Bandego, bench of Rayvon Griffith and Tyler McKinley.
I'm going Black.
Okay.
I think I'm going Red.
I'm going Red. I'll be Team
I'm-
Red.
Can't wait for
I
this
thought-
game.
I thought I
Yeah.
was going to be the only one who went red.
No.
Really?
I did. I mean,
I
the guys on the black team, I feel like are the Chad's favorite players. Connor Hickman, Seamus Lukosius, Josh Reed.
No, they're just guys that I think are important for the success of the team. Like, you need shooting in this state. You have to shoot it well.
Agreed.
But
I'm
in
just-
a one game, like, I think Team Red has more shot creation that would benefit them, where even though Team Black might have the better shooting, I like 1 through 5 on Team Red. A
Yeah,
good deal more.
I think with Red, you've got the flexibility that we've mentioned all throughout, where you can kind of switch defensively. I mean, CJ, we're talking fully healthy CJ here too.
Yeah.
So it's, you can switch Dan, Mitchell, and AP, and just be a menace defensively, and then offensively, I mean, you got Jizzle and Dan who are potential NBA players, and then CJ who can knock down threes. So, and then Mitchell who's a freak, and then AP who we've already touched on a bunch. I hear you with the CMOS, and I hear you with the Hickman, but I just think past that, unless Josh really steps up the offensive side of things, Aziz is pretty limited to what he does offensively, with roles and whatnot, and then Day is more that defensive lockdown perimeter defender. So I think it'd be a hell of a game. I'd love to watch it. But yeah, I've got Team Red.
The thing is, I don't think it would be a game. Like, I think it would be like a 5-5 more often than not if you played 10, maybe 6-4 Red, like 55-45 type.
Oh yeah.
split.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I would take Red.
It'd be close.
Good question.
I think the
I think
bench.
you did a good job building the two rosters.
Yeah, he did.
The bench with Betsy, I think, is a little deeper than Ray and Tyler McKinley, but
Yeah.
that remains to be
Potentially.
seen.
Potentially.
All right. Can BCJ work out a deal with Wes at, I think that was supposed to be And Company, to have a BCJ member exclusive watch group at one of the summer workouts in person? Specific donation amount required to attend to Cincy Reigns.
I'm sure if you contact Cincy Reigns, they will help you achieve your goal. Like, I don't think I can do it, but I bet you Cincy Reigns could get you in there.
Yeah.
Got those zeros on that check.
Not a terrible idea, like this. I think Wes would sign off on having fans in at one
Sure.
practice for a certain price. Yeah. So, hey, hit up Cincy Reigns, see what they say for sure.
All right. I think that's the mailbag. So
Nope, there's one on the banks late.
I was making my way there.
We're gonna let Royer handle this one. Oh, he's gone.
It is another question from
He'll be back.
Otter.
He'll be back.
217. But what's an underrated pizza topping combination?
Meatball salami with ricotta. Maybe even throw a little jalapeno on there too for a little kick. I like doing that.
I'd fuck with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a big ricotta on my pizza guy.
You know what you just heard? You just heard my Adriatico's order
Okay.
without the salami. Without the salami, man.
How
I need to
how
get back
often?
there. You're getting my. Now I'm just starting to think about this.
I was
shit.
actually thinking of that the other day. Like somebody mentioned something about it, like the Sicilian, and I was like, I haven't been to Adriatico's in way too long. Way too long. Ryan, I know you're not going to like this.
Pineapple? Is that what you're gonna say?
So Kelsey does enjoy pineapple on a pizza.
That's
Everybody
everything that's wrong
generally
with her.
does, like ham and pineapple. Kelsey actually likes sausage and pineapple, and it's actually not bad. Like, it's not something I would order myself. I don't think the ham is like salty enough to match up to the pineapple, but a good like chunk of Italian sausage and pineapple, and you get that sweet salty. I don't mind it. I don't love it. It's not what I would order, but if faced with having to eat one because she has insisted on we eat one, sausage and pineapple is not terrible.
Will never, ever enter my food palette.
I mean, I can eat it. I just think it's a crime.
Aaron has 2 young daughters that don't have like free will of thinking yet. What he does not understand is there are going to be things that they ask for daddy to provide them, and daddy is going to do it and just deal with the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm heat up a frozen burrito before eating a pineapple pizza. Get out
Wow.
here.
That is a hot take. Man, I will eat all kinds of pizza if I'm being honest with you. So, but Royer, I'm with you on that ricotta on there. Do you like burrata on your pizza too? Have you given that away?
I'm not a huge. I haven't. I don't think I've done that. I'm not a huge burrata guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think burrata. I don't know. It's okay. It's not something I want.
Right.
It's not something I'm like, ooh, let's have some burrata.
Ricotta, the ricotta on there is good.
Ricotta.
What's your guys' thoughts on white sauce? White sauce on pizza.
I mean, white sauce is just it tastes great, but I don't ever do it because it makes me feel way too fat when I do it. I'm like, I've entered full fat ass mode when I got Alfredo.
Me too. Yeah. White sauce sucks, dude. Yeah. I agree.
I love white sauce though, but that's a big pause as well. We're gonna have to edit that one out later. All right, Aaron.
Brent with his yeah, me too. I hate that stuff.
Light red sauce. Give me that vodka sauce on there.
Ooh.
Yeah, pizza's good, dude. It is good.
That's the mailbag. Get us out.
Aaron, what's yours? What's your go-to toppings?
Yeah, we have to go for 2 more minutes. It has to be 2 hours.
Come on, Aaron. What's your go-to toppings?
My go-to.
No, what's a weird combination that you think people will like that maybe don't know about?
I used to work at California Pizza Kitchen, and they have some weird pizzas there.
Okay.
That was a college job. But they had, I think my favorite pizza that they had there, it was like the California Club, which was a little different. It was like a white pizza with bacon and chicken on it. They'd throw that in, and then after it came out, they would have like chopped lettuce and mayonnaise, and they'd put that cold on top with avocado on top and tomatoes. And it was actually like the tomatoes, the lettuce, and the avocado were all cold, which was a weird
contrasted pretty nicely.
Very strange contrast, but it was one of my favorite things to order when I was just like on a lunch break or something.
Yeah.
You guys ever go to Uno's back in the day?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember it that well though.
The mashed potato deep dish was fire. Yeah.
Oh, was there a mashed potato deep dish? Wow.
They had mashed potato deep dish that was basically like
potato skins, but
potato skins.
Deep dish pizza. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
With cheese and bacon.
And now
Yeah.
we're branching into crazy land. I like it. I like
It
it.
was delicious. It was so good.
I knew it. I knew as soon as you mentioned Uno's. Yeah, that mashed potato.
Well, you saw it click into my brain, like, oh, remember that? You want to hear a great Uno's story? So I used to work at Uno's.
Okay.
I had this. They had like a party room, and we had a party of like 17 people back there, and I took it myself, worked my ass off, and I thought I was going to be slick because I did such a great job and not put the gratuity on, and they would just tip me.
Always put the gratuity.
So they didn't tip me. And I thought there was just a misunderstanding. So I went out into the parking lot and, just, oh yeah. It ended okay. Like there was a misunderstanding and they
was this
thought
your last day of employment?
It was. So 2 decades later, I'm out with some people, and one of them just happened to be the guy that owned that Uno's establishment. You might be watching this podcast, and this might be the first he's heard of this. But I mentioned that I worked at that Uno's, and he was like, "You weren't the guy that chased the people out into the parking lot, were you?" And I was like, "No, of course not. Why would I do that?" Yeah, that was me. It's my last day at Uno's. Just looking for a new job the next day.
Hey,
Is
we've all
what it
been
is.
there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
We all have. Yeah, you guys like breakfast pizza?
Are we using sausage gravy as the base?
Yes.
No. Well,
Okay, then yes.
oh, what, like Casey's General Store, whatever it is?
No, but I'm saying if you're making a breakfast pizza, like a white pizza, you
Yeah.
use sausage gravy as the base.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. The one I had
I'm in
the
on
other day was not sausage gravy as the base, but it was really good. So
They use like bechamel. What they use as the base?
no,
What
they use red sauce.
No, I'm out.
It was good. It was really good.
No, I'm out.
Bechamel, I have had that before. That's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm out on a red sauce. I don't want eggs and red sauce.
We're on the same page, guys. It's all so tasty. Pizza is just really good. And that's all we gotta say about that. So, Royer, good addition. I would love to try the Adriatico's pizza with you sometime. So let's lock that in. Aaron, are you gonna tell me something?
You're just trying to finagle a date with Ryan.
Right. We've already had one behind the scenes. Y'all don't know. I'm just joking. We haven't, but maybe in the future. New riff. Shouts. Aaron, is that the end of the mailbag? Get us out of here.
I've said get us out of here like 3 times.
All
Yes.
right, cool. Let's do it. Well, hey, you know what? This was a all right. Bring up the thing. Bring it up. There we go. Oh gosh. Quite the wonderful one Monday this was. Big shouts, of course, as always, to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply for their timestamps and all that they bring. Shouts to New Riff Riffing with Royer, always a fun time. And shouts to Aaron yet again, baby number 2. Big congrats there. But for my guys, pals, the crew, all of us all together as one. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer. I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.